Alright, what's going on everyone? So I don't really have a card opening video today because I haven't had time to edit one because Charles and I have been busy switching rooms and that's kind of eaten up all my time yesterday and today, and I haven't really had time to edit one, but I figured I'd go ahead and record this deck profile. It's the first deck profile I actually do on my channel, and it's my very own deck, the one I go to. I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh! In an actual event or against other people really in real life in about 3-4 years. It's been a very long time. And when I did used to play, I used to use this deck. And as far as I know, all these cards are still valid. I think there's one that might be banned, but we'll get to that one. But I can replace that one if it is banned. But it's my favorite deck to use because nobody ever sees it coming. Because the rarest card in this is like a super rare. It's a crazy deck, and I love using it. Everyone hates going up against it, and it's so much fun because of what it is and what it does. So let's go ahead and get started. It's a Graydle Kaiju deck. And we're starting off, I'll start off with the Graydles, the Kaiju side of it. So, if you don't know, the Kaiju monsters are very gimmicky. They have the ability to special summon themselves to your opponent's side of the field by tributing their monster. So, if they have a card that I can't get rid of by battle or by card effect, I can tribute it and summon it to their side of the field, and then I can special summon a Kaiju monster, if they have a Kaiju monster, to my side of the field, and then I can attack them that way. It's really useful for getting Gamasiel, I think that's his name, to their side of the field. It's the weakest of the Kaiju. I do that. I summon the strongest of the Kaiju on my side of the field. They battle. I win because mine's stronger. It's a very good way to get rid of stuff. People hate it because they spend a lot of time linking stuff and synchro summoning and XE summoning and all these crazy stuff to get a bunch of monsters on their side of the field, or one really big boss monster on their side of the field. And then immediately I use it to special summon my own thing on their side of the field. In this deck, I run 2 of the Star Destroyer Kaiju. I'm going to go ahead and set them right here. Hopefully you guys can see it pretty well. 2 of the Star Destroyer, who has the ability to remove 3 Kaiju counters on the field, and I can negate a card that targets 1 card and destroy it. So 3 counters, negate and destroy a card. I'd run 2 Gamasiel because he is the weakest of the Kaiju, really useful to summon on their side of the field. And a big wall, if I decide to summon on my side of the field, it can negate a card effect and banish it. It's actually kind of dangerous because they can use it to banish one of your stuff too. So 2 counters, negates and banishes a card on your opponent's side of the field, regardless of who is using it. So they can use this against me too. That's the scary part. I do 1 of the Raiden because Raiden can basically clone himself and attack with 2. He can basically get a Raiden token, and it's another monster with 2,800 attack points. It's a big beat stick, and it's really useful for dealing a lot of damage. And then I also use, what is his name? Dogoran, I think is his name. And this guy's just a 3k attack. You can use 3 Kaiju counters on the field and destroy all your opponent's monsters, but he can't attack the turn you activate this effect. So altogether, I use 6 Kaijus in this deck. Not that many Kaijus, but it gets the job done for what I do. I also use Shadal Dragon because Shadal Dragon has got 1900 attack points, so it's a really good attacker. It's a really good card to just basically attack. And if it's flip summoned, it gets to return a card from the field back to the hand. So a monster from the field back to the hand. If I summon a Kaiju to their side of the field and then I flip summon Dragon, I get that card back and I basically destroyed their monster or tributed their monster and got rid of it. Really, really useful. Shadal Dragon. Either just normal summoning and attacking, or flip summoning and doing that way. So I'll set him aside. I also use Compulsory Evacuation, the device. I use 3 of these. This card is really, really useful because I can basically get rid of one of their cards, use Compulsory, get this back, and then get rid of another one of their cards. And if I have another one, I can just keep going. It's really, really useful because you get your own cards back. And if anything else, you can at least, if you draw this and nothing else useful, you can compulse one of their cards back to their hand and get rid of it that way. It's a really, really useful trap for this deck and for really any deck. Just it comes in handy for 2 reasons on this one. I also use Kaiju Capture Mission. It's the Kaiju Trap card. I only use 2 of these. This basically takes Kaiju on the field and flips it face down. It's really useful because there can only be 1 Kaiju on each side of the field. And so if they have a Kaiju monster, I can flip it face down and then summon another one and get rid of one of their monsters. Or I can special summon another Kaiju on my side of the field if I need to get a stronger Kaiju out or something like that. So it's really useful for that. And if it's set down on the field and gets destroyed, I get to draw 2 cards. So that's a really cool little side effect it has if they decide to destroy it. It also, every time you activate its effect and flip a monster face down, it gets a counter, which you can then use to activate the Kaiju's effects. So there's the Kaiju capture mission. I also use Kaiju Waterfront. Kaiju Waterfront's really useful because it allows you to search for Kaijus if you have 3 counters on this card. And each time a card is sent to the graveyard, there gets a counter on this card. So it's very easy to get counters on this card. Once you get to 3, you can search for Kaijus. And if this card were to be destroyed, you can get rid of a counter instead. So it's pretty difficult to destroy. And I really, really like it because it allows me to search. And it can't be destroyed that easily. Next we have Kaiju Interrupted Slumber. Interrupted Slumber is a very useful card. It's basically Kaiju Dark Hole. You use this, it takes away every monster on the field that can be destroyed. By spell, obviously, and then it summons a Kaiju from either side of the field. I've been in situations where I don't have any card in my hand except this card, and it saves me because it wipes the field and gives me and them a monster. I get to choose, and then I get to attack that way. It's really, really useful. I really like using this card. It saved me so many times. Owner Seal, it's a very old card. I don't know when the last time this thing was reprinted was because I haven't played in a while. Owner Seal is very useful because it just returns cards on the field to the respected owners. If I summon a Kaiju on their side of the field, I can just immediately get it to my side of the field. Bam, I'm done. It's so useful. I use 2 of these, mostly because I only have 2. I would use a 3rd if I had it, but I don't have 2. I don't have 3, so what can you do? All right, so that's it for the Kaiju side. Kinda. We do get to one other one later, but we'll get to that in a bit. Let's go to the other side of this deck, that is the Graydles, and I absolutely love these because if you thought the gimmick for these Kaiju cards was good, the Graydle ones is actually pretty insane. We're starting off, I only have, let's go ahead and scoop these real quick. I only really have, there's 5? Yeah, there's 5 Graydle cards, but I only really have 4. 5 Graydle monsters, but I only really have 4 of them. And that's Graydle Slime, Graydle Eagle, Graydle Cobra, and Graydle Alligator. Now, the color, it's kind of color-coded, so it's kind of easy to tell. Set this guy aside for a little bit. All of these monsters, when they get destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can bring them back, equip them to a monster on your opponent's side of the field, and then take control of it. And you can see why this would be useful here. If I were to use Graydle Eagle and special summon the Kaiju to their side of the field, I can destroy this. I'll take damage, but then this guy will come back, take control of this card, and then I have my monster back. It's really useful for that kind of situation. It does kind of cost life points when you use it to destroy a big guy, but it's absolutely worth it when you take control of the big guy. For Eagle, he gets this effect when he gets destroyed by battle and by a monster's card effect. For Alligator, he gets this effect when he gets destroyed by battle and by a spell effect. And for Cobra, he gets this effect when he gets destroyed by battle or by trap. So, monster, spell, trap, they're color-coded, super easy to remember. They don't have that many attack points. There's 3-star monsters, but they're really, really useful. Then we have Graydle Slime. There is a Slime Jr., that's the card I'm missing. I don't have Slime Jr. Technically, there's 6 cards because Graydle Dragon, but we'll get to that one. Yeah. Graydle Slime is the other card that I like to use. I only use 2 of this guy. He has the effect of special summon by destroying 2 Graydle cards on the field, and then he gets to special summon himself, and then he activates the effect to special summon a Graydle from the grave. This card is very, very useful in a situation where you have these 2, where you have Graydle Eagle and Graydle Cobra. You use this guy's effect to destroy these 2. He special summons on this side on your side of the field. These guys get sent to the graveyard. He activates his effect and returns Cobra to the field. And then because Graydle Eagle was destroyed by a monster effect, it gets its effect and it gets to control one of your opponent's monsters. It's very, very useful to easily get an opponent's monster, and it doesn't really cost you anything since both the monsters you destroyed to summon it get to be used again. Once he's summoned on the field, you can Synchro Summon for Graydle Dragon, which is the boss monster in this deck. It's got 3,000 attack points, 2,000 defense. One of the boss monsters. I guess all the Kaijus are boss monsters. But he has 3,000 attack, 2,000 defense. When he gets summoned, he gets to destroy as many cards in the field up to the number of water monsters used to summon him. In this case, it's 2. I can destroy 2 cards on the field, on my opponent's side of the field, up to 2 cards. And then if he gets destroyed, Graydles get summoned from the grave. Really, really useful card. I only use one of them because I only have one of them. That's all I ever summoned. Also a super rare. That's what I was talking about. The rarest card is really a super rare. But yeah, that's it for the Graydle monsters. But we're not done yet because we also have the spells. We have Graydle Impact. Graydle Impact's very useful. I use 2 of these because they can search for themselves, which is really nice. At the end of the turn, if you haven't used its effect, you can search a Graydle card from your deck and add it to your hand. You can also use its effect to destroy a Graydle card you control, and then another card on the field. And I like to use this card to destroy Alligator, which destroys Alligator. I get to destroy a card on my opponent's side, and then Alligator gets its effect in the graveyard because it was destroyed by a spell, and then I get to control a monster my opponent controls, which is really, really nice. I also use Supply Squad. Supply Squad's really good because whenever a monster I control is destroyed by battle or by card effect, I get to draw a card, and because the whole point of Graydles are for them to be destroyed, to then control a monster, I get to use this card a lot and draw extra cards. It's just draw power for this deck. I could only really find one. I've tried to find another one. I have a big collection, so I might have more, but it's a very, very good card because it's just draw power. It's really, really good. Graydle Split is a very useful card. It increases a monster's attack by 500 points, which is really good. I can also activate it to destroy the monster, and then special summon two Graydles from my deck, and then I can synchro summon the dragon from there, and then if I end up using this card on Cobra, then I can destroy this, special summon two Graydles, and because this was destroyed by a trap card, it gets to control a monster on my opponent's side of the field. So it gets its effect off of its own archetype trap, which is really, really useful. I use it all the time. Graydle Parasite's the other super rare on in this deck. If it's activated, if my opponent declares an attack, I can special summon a Graydle from my deck to my side of the field. And if my Graydle attacks my opponent directly, I think it's directly, and because they have to not control a monster to get this effect, I can special summon a monster from their graveyard to their field, and then attack that monster with my Graydle, get control of it, and then attack it again. Attack my opponent again with that card. So it serves two purposes. I only really use one because I find myself not needing this card too much, but it has come in handy. I only really need to use this at one. Next we have Draining Shield. Draining Shield and Magical Cylinder are kind of serve the same purpose in this deck, and that's just trap. It's just stapled trap. One of them does a lot of damage to my opponent, and the other one, Draining Shield, gives me my life points back, which is actually desperately needed in this deck because of the Kaijus. They don't have that much attack points. I do end up losing a lot of life points because I attack bigger monsters to take control of them. Draining Shield is just a really good way to get some of those life points back, and Magic Cylinder is just a really good way to inflict life point damage. It's just, what can I say? It's one of my favorite traps, and not enough people use it. Call of the Haunted is really good because it can bring back a Kaiju monster. It could also bring back Cobra, and then if I find a way to destroy Call of the Haunted, which I can do, it then destroys Cobra, and then Cobra gets its effect again because it's got destroyed by Call of the Haunted. I might remove that. We'll see. I have to see if it works out well in this deck or not. Okay, Skill Drain is the other card that actually goes really well with this deck and with the Kaiju deck. Skill Drain, if you don't know, you have to pay 1,000 life points to activate it. And then as long as this card's face up, all face up effect monsters lose their effects. It's really, really useful because Graydles don't use their effect while in face up. Their effect activates in the grave. So they can still get their effect. It's really, they have nothing to lose by using this effect, except for maybe Slime if it uses its secondary ability. And Kaijus, it's really useful because with this card combination, I can now control more than one Kaiju, as long as I take theirs once it's out on the field. It's kind of useful. I've used it multiple times. It's the one card in this deck. I don't know if it's still legal. I'll have to double check. I don't know if it's in the ban list or not. Ban list changes all the time. Who knows? Then I have Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. This is the newest card I added in here. I don't know how well it's going to work. I hope it works well. It's the newest card I added in here. It's also a water monster. It's also a tuner, so I might add more synchro cards, more level 6 synchro cards. And it gets its ability is it's a hand trap. You can discard it, and anytime your opponent special summons a monster that turn, you gain life points equal to that monster's attack points. It's really useful for getting life points, but the catch is if you don't get life points by this effect, your life points are halved at the end of the turn. It kind of serves a double purpose. One, it gives me life points that I'm going to need because my Kaijus lose me a lot of life points. I mean, my Graydles lose me a lot of life points. But two, it keeps my opponent from special summoning too many monsters, which comes in handy in this deck as well because I can't really handle too many monsters at a time. So it serves a double purpose. I like to put it in the deck. I don't really know how well it's going to work, but I guess we'll find out when I use it next. Then we have Harpy's Feather Duster, which is just Hoppy's Feather Duster. No further explanation needed. This actually, granted, is more rare than a super rare, but I know that common version of this card exists, so I just I keep it in there because it's good. What can I say? But anyway, that's my deck. That's the deck I personally like to use. There is one more card I forgot to mention. My bad. It's this card, Geonator Transverser. It's the newest card in this deck for me because I just pulled it. It pulled a ton of them from the 12 Phantom whatever box that I kept opening. I pulled a ton of these. It's a common card, but it's very good. I can basically switch the 2 monsters this card links to. If it's one of them's my opponent's, one of them's mine. Switch the control of them, and that's basically all it does. You can see how it could be useful if somebody had, let's say, a Blue Eyes and I had the Graydle. I can then switch their control. So now I have the Blue Eyes, they have the Graydle. I kill my own Graydle, they lose life points. I then get my Graydle's effect and take control of another monster. It's very useful for that reason, but the card itself doesn't have that much attack points. So, you know, I'm taking a risk while using it, but I don't necessarily have to use it since it is just a link card. I don't really need to use any extra deck stuff in this. But yeah, that's my deck. That's my personal deck. Like I said, it's not my only one, but it is my favorite one. It's my go-to one, and I absolutely love it. Let me know what your decks are in the comments. I would really like to know. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe. So I can know to keep doing these, and who knows, I might do another deck profile. I don't really do these because I just started doing Yu-Gi-Oh content, so let me know if you're enjoying it, and I'll continue to. If not, then we'll see what happens. But thank you for watching, and take care.